What is going on, everyone? Mr. Natfav here, coming at you with yet another Digimon episode. In this video, unlike the previous MACHINEDRAMON video, I will reply to a comment of a YouTuber asking me to explore a particular Digimon, and today will be the comment of Norbert Podberezny, a comment that he wrote on my Explaining Gazimon video, and this is what he wrote. Thanks, I love Digimon, and the insect types are my favorite. So I would love to see Tentomon and other insects as Wormmon or Quaggamon. Well, Norbert, because you love the insect type so much, I will try and make it as interesting as possible. And I'll even add a little bonus for you. Let's get into it. Before going straight ahead, I wanted to confess a little. I also always enjoyed seeing Tentomon. At home, my brothers always associated me with its tamer, Easy, in Digimon Season 1, because it was the brains of the DigiDestined team. As my brothers see me as the brains of the family, they associated me to Easy, and thus I ended up considering Tentomon as my own partner Digimon. I guess I grew somehow attached to it. Tentomon is an insectoid Digimon. I guess that it sort of speaks for itself simply by looking at its appearance. It is a Digimon derived from the ladybug, more specific, the 7-spot ladybird. In Japanese, it is also called Tentomushi, which explains the name Tentomon. Obviously, Tentomon and the ladybug share more than enough similarities in appearance, as for instance, having 6 joint legs, except that Tentomon is bipedal and walks on 2 legs. When paying attention to the nature of the Tentomon genes, it is written that it belongs to the Nature Spirits family. Members of this field are mostly animal-like Digimons. It somehow also belongs to the Metal Empire family. Members of this family are generally of the steel element, and I couldn't really imagine that Tentomon would belong to this group. That's why we're going to pay extra attention to its next Digivolution. Last but not least, Tentomon also belongs to another group that I haven't mentioned before, called the Jungle Troopers. Members of this field are mostly insectoid or vegetation Digimon that dwell in tropical areas. Tentomon, despite having a hard shell and 1 hard claw on each of its forelegs, it is low in aggression. It displays a carefree way of life by doing things like sniffing the scent of flowers and napping in the shade of a tree. A very peaceful Digimon. But its peaceful nature vanishes at the moment it digivolves to its next form. Kabuterimon, the next form of Tentomon, is a fairly unique insectoid Digimon. Unique because, first of all, the details of how it digivolves into an insect type isn't clear, but has both ant-like powers and the flawless defensive ability possessed by a beetle. In case it wasn't clear in my previous videos, it's actually better to maybe forget certain aspects from the Digimon series, because in the series you have the DigiDestined that give their partner Digimons the necessary boost to digivolve, while the Digimons live their own separate lives before the coming of humans. They used to transform in natural ways, highlighting Charles Darwin's survival of the fittest. Only the strongest in the jungle will be able to further evolve. Only the strongest in the Digimon world are actually going to be able to digivolve. And by the way, speaking of survival of the fittest, Kabuterimon only possesses the instinct of survival. It has no intelligence or anything remotely similar. Given the opportunity, it will swoop down on hostile Digimon without mercy. And with a head that has been metallized, it has an augmented defense. There is another thing I'd like to add. Animals use whatever they have to their advantage, either to assure their survival or to boost their chances of eliminating their target quickly. Kabuterimon, despite its huge appearance, has a dark blue color. How much chance do you think a prey would survive against it, especially at night in a forest, Kabuterimon's habitat? Really a question you should ask yourself, because first of all, you would never see it coming with its dark color. Secondly, it has stings. If it were to sneak attack, you'd probably feel one of those stings before even realizing that you have to run. Thirdly, Kabuterimon isn't a Digimon that you'd come across in open grass fields. It belongs to the Jungle Troopers. You'd most probably encounter him in its habitat, the jungle, where it has all the advantage of lasting longer as it knows the place and it has more chances of sneak attacking you with success. And to finish, Kabuterimon has a flight ability. It has an air advantage. On the contrary to the Kabuterimon you see in the anime, Kabuterimon in nature has no intelligence and acts based on its primitive instincts. Not to mention that if it were to feel really threatened, it has the ability to fire electrical bolts at enemies. And that's maybe a little bit why I am asking you to maybe forget some of the aspects of the Digimon series if you truly want to understand how dangerous a Digimon can actually be. Kabuterimon isn't the kind of Digimon you'd want to come across at all. In case you are curious, Kabuterimon's design is derived from the Asian rhinoceros beetle, also called Kabuto mushi in Japanese. Now, Kabuterimon has gotten me very confused when it comes to its next forms. It can either digivolve into Mega Kabuterimon but with a red color, or a Mega Kabuterimon with the blue color. We're going to take a look at the red one first, even though they are the same species and have similar strength. It would appear that Mega Kabuterimon is almost 1.5 times the size of Kabuterimon and is quite large among insectoid Digimons. Muscular tissues have appeared on the base of its forelimbs, so its grappling ability will also improve. It still has a survival instinct, but its behavior has been observed to consist of protecting the weak. The only small difference there is between the red and the blue Mega Kabuterimon is probably the flight ability. Mega Kabuterimon Red has surpassed Mega Kabuterimon Blue in the flight ability. Would that make it stronger? Well, I guess that would depend. Red, after all, is still a color that would easily attract the attention of prey. And unless if a Mega Kabuterimon would find itself in a red forest with red leaves around everywhere, its color wouldn't really deceive him, I guess. But then again, you don't have those red leaves in summer, winter or spring, while there is always a night, which would only be advantageous for Mega Kabuterimon Blue. Both their flight abilities did decrease in comparison to their champion form, Kabuterimon. The biggest difference between Mega Kabuterimon Red and Blue would be their next forms. They both have two Digivolutions, including one in common, namely Hercules Kabuterimon. And this Digimon in particular is very interesting because it digivolved with the data of not only Kabuterimon but also the Quaggamon species. That's why in the second part of the video we'll go to Quaggamon. Hercules Kabuterimon has a form that perfectly compensates for the weakness of both Kabuterimon and Quaggamon, two Digimons having opposing natures. With a body shining gold, it has regained and strengthened the flying ability which Mega Kabuterimon had lost, so it rushes about the digital world at supersonic speed. A very strong Digimon. Only a few beings can truly rival Hercules Kabuterimon. He has a fierce rivalry with a Digimon that will be mentioned shortly after. To conclude, Hercules Kabuterimon, despite a Mega, has yet another Digivolution called Tyrant Kabuterimon. A very mysterious Digimon that is even more mysterious in the how it came to be. But considering that it is a Digivolution of another Mega Digimon, I can only assume that reaching this level is close to impossible. In the Explaining Gazimon video, I talked about a certain Bancho Digimon called Bancho Leomon, a Digimon that can only come to be after training and fighting and surviving without its spirit being broken in the end. Tyrant Kabuterimon is most definitely another powerful Digimon, another Digimon whose level is probably unreachable if it wasn't for circumstances allowing it. This Digimon is the king of bugs, which governs all insect Digimon. It is basically a god of bugs and has the ability to manipulate every insect Digimon at will, meaning that it almost never fights in person. Its stronghold, called the Underforest, exists deep underneath the darkest forest, and it is said that Tyrant Kabuterimon only moves at night, when everything is dark and when everyone is most afraid. Due to the high-density chrome Digizoid which compose its shell, it is thought to be impossible for ordinary Digimon to even scratch it, meaning that it has a very strong defense. It has an attack called Shine of Bee, an attack emitting a red-hot explosion from its entire body, which is impossible to defend against, and instantly reduces all of its opponents to ash. Let us get back to the two different Mega Kabuterimons. I told you that they also have a unique Digivolution that they don't share. Mega Kabuterimon Blue has a Digivolution that is in some way not possible anymore to digivolve to, meaning that it's more likely that it would digivolve into Hercules Kabuterimon. Let me explain. In the ancient Digimon world, there were 10 legendary warriors, each possessing a certain attribute, each having their own reasons to be known as a member of those 10 almighty warriors. Among them, you have ancient Beetlemon, basically the ancestor of all Kabuterimon species, possessing the attribute of thunder. It is a mega who existed only in the distant past. Its shell has a hardness rivaling that of Chrome Digizoid, meaning that the forks on both arms can cut through anything. It can easily lift up objects hundreds of times its own weight. Those abilities were later passed down to the insect Digimon, which also explains why Tentomon has the ability to summon electricity. But one thing is sure, if Ancient Beetlemon is the original being that passed the skills to the insect Digimons, that means that its strength is unparalleled. Which reminds me, in the Agumon video I mentioned yet another legendary warrior called Ancient Greymon. I will definitely make an entire video talking about all warriors and about the ancient Digimon war. Let us get back to Mega Kabuterimon Red. This Digimon has another separate Mega Digivolution called Grand Quaggamon. But before talking about it, I think it's better to talk about the Quaggamon species first. Quaggamon is yet another insectoid Digimon with a name derived from Nokogiri Kuwagata. It is Japanese for the saw staggle beetle. It is a bipedal Digimon with 4 arms armed with gigantic pincers. Its pincers is so powerful, once it clamps an enemy, it will squeeze until the opponent's life is extinguished. Its head is eyeless with black markings and a pair of long mandibles. Like Kabuterimon, it has combat abilities that far exceeds those of similar species that inhabit the File Island. Despite that I suspect that the Quaggamon species and the Kabuterimon species are linked in genes, there is a perfect rivalry between both of them. When Quaggamon digivolves, it evolves into Okuwamon. By simply looking at its appearance, it is clear that the Digivolution is more balefully than the Kabuterimon species. Okuwamon was enhanced with a particular focus on Quaggamon's inferior defensive side. As for its offensive side, the reconnaissance ability of its antenna was improved. The attack accuracy of its scissors was increased, and its scissor arms attacks with an enhanced version that can clip through even diamond with a hardness of 10, meaning that we're talking about one of the hardest stones to break. In addition, it has been proven that it possesses not only its natural survival instinct, but also its destructive impulses as its primary traits, meaning that it has become very aggressive and very dangerous. Okuwamon can further digivolve into Grand Quaggamon, also known as the Demon of the Deep Forest, a digivolution that Quaggamon share in common with Mega Kabuterimon Red. But now the question is, what would make Mega Kabuterimon digivolve into Grand Quaggamon? It is rather unknown, but considering that Mega Kabuterimon has a certain pride of protecting the weak, I imagine that it wouldn't further digivolve to Hercules Kabuterimon if it didn't protect the weak, but instead was evil. As has been told, Kabuterimon has no intelligence, it only has a survival instinct. Mega Kabuterimon is actually the only one that can develop a knight-like attitude, meaning that you might maybe predict whether a Kabuterimon would end up becoming a Grand Quaggamon or not. Grand Quaggamon is a very dangerous and dark Digimon that is a quadrupedal, 6-limbed being with blades about everywhere. It is only possible to stumble upon Grand Quaggamon at night, as it is only active during that time. Though I have to say, you can't really consider yourself lucky if you were to stumble upon it. It has a fierce rivalry with Hercules Kabuterimon. Both have a never-ending battle. Only the strongest few among the evil Grand Quaggamon can further digivolve into Grandis Quaggamon, the rarest species among insect Digimons. But if one were to stumble upon the Digimon, unlike the case of Grand Quaggamon, they might call themselves lucky to some extent, as this Digimon has a certain pride. The Grand Killers on both of its arms are capable of causing wounds, no matter how hard the shell or metal is, so it will deepen those wounds and eventually bring down the enemy. According to a theory, Grandis Quaggamon formed an alliance with Black War Greymon, who preaches its own justice as a virus species. That only leaves me wondering what they have in mind. That was the end of the video, my good friends. Thank you, Norbert, for giving me the right push to making it. Tentomon is a Digimon that I've always loved and appreciated for many reasons. Making this video in its name was definitely fun. Do not forget, my friends, if you want another Digimon to be explored, simply leave a comment. And if you are new, you can always find all the Digimon videos I've made so far in the playlist called Digimon Conversation. They are always updated, so you can always catch up on older and newer videos.